Hello, BookTube.
Hi, BookTube.
We're back. That look of horrible, gnawing guilt on our faces is mixed with a certain amount of stunned amazement. We went and did more book shopping.
We went to the Book Barn.
The Book Barn
Yep.
in Niantic, Connecticut. Those of you who are not familiar with it, it's incredible. Just incredible. 5 buildings plus 2 annexes, locations that are not at the main building. Goats in a petting farm, koi pond, porta potties, and just gigantic shed loads of books.
Yeah, the Book Barn makes it sound like one place,
Yeah,
and it's not. When you get into town, there's this main drag. You turn onto it, and you hit the first annex, and that's what we went into right away. That has science fiction in there, philosophy, religion, children's books, things like that.
Yeah, so the annexes do not mirror the main bookstore.
No.
If you're
It's almost
subjects.
like a traditional bookstore that you would have in your hometown. It's just like that. That's the first one. Then you go 9/10 of a mile down the road, as I overheard the gentleman say working the register, and that's where the Book Barn is. And that has the barn. That's a barn full of books, like you would think. And then that also has little sheds and extensions of it in that compound. And those are filled with dollar books, some new books, some just paperbacks. And then the Book Barn itself also has history, all kinds of sections in there. And then you go a little further down the road. Really, it's just across one more parking lot. And that's the final part of the Book Barn system, I guess you would say. That has economics, that has journalism, that has romances,
lots of romances.
Tons of mystery, westerns, things like that. So each store doesn't have all the genres. They're spread out between the 3. And that's what we did today.
And you know how normal people go to a used bookstore and maybe they get too many books and they think, boy, I'm set. And if they were to go to a used bookstore the next day, they'd get nothing. We're not normal people.
No, we got more than we did yesterday. I did anyway.
The seesaws have changed. I think you got more books than I did.
Yesterday you had to do some groupings. Today I'm definitely going to. Yeah.
How are we? First of all, the typical booktuber thing to say is you should settle in.
Yeah, get comfortable. Or something. Yeah.
You should start.
I think I should start. I'll start, I guess, with these. These are all together. This is Sean O'Casey. So first we have selected plays in this volume. And then I found a 2-volume of his autobiographies here. And oddly enough, I've only read his autobiographies. I haven't read any of his plays before. I got turned on to him because of something you wrote years ago.
Who did the editing for the other volume?
Oh, here.
Oh, John Gassner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love them. It has one of the best ends to a book I've ever read. The closing paragraph of his autobiography is amazing. But I read them in these old mass markets that were in, I think, 6 volumes. And those are actually really nice. But having 2 big volumes are nice as well. So I grabbed those.
I'm still really here. This is just so exorbitantly unnecessary. We had a car. We had a beautiful weather. We had friendly staff. We had
They're
ample.
so friendly there.
It's a wonderful place. It really is. I don't know. We'd go anyway if it were a mare's nest of losers, but it's not. They were wonderful people. They were wonderful. Frida. She did a lot of scream growling at people to pet her. She does not ask nicely to people to pet her. She ferociously growls deep in her throat. But what she wants is to be fussed and cuddled with, except by the cats. Yes. It was in the main barn. There was a cat there, and it attacked her a few times, just out of sheer territoriality. But anyway, I'll do a grouping of 3 as well. I found 3 by Dorothy Sayers, Lord Peter in these great old cover designs. These came out in mass market and in trade paperback. I found Lord Peter. This is a volume of the Lord Peter Wimsey short stories. I don't think this is going to hold up well, but they reached a point where I just didn't care. I found a hardcover with a plastic covering of Gaudy Night, the best Lord Peter Wimsey mystery, and this is a definite keeper. And I found one of those omnibus editions, Lord Peter Takes the Case, which one of these big, thick things. This has in it Clouds of Witness, Unnatural Death, The 5 Red Herrings, and An Unpleasant at the Bologna Club. That's, I think, the funniest Lord Peter Wimsey story. As soon as I saw it, they were all grouped together, in the annex that has murder mysteries. And as soon as I saw them, I realized that all the Peter Wimsey I have is online, is ebook. I don't have any print books. Even Gaudy Night, which I had a really cute little red mass market paperback of it, and one of you liked it, so off it went. But that's... oh my god! I now have all the Lord Peter Wimsey that I want. I have the short stories, I have a nice anthology, and I have the best book. So,
all right, I'm gonna do 3 more. If we keep doing these in threes, 2 hours, at the worst, this is gonna be.
I don't know. There's a lot of books.
These are more Viking portables. I talked about these yesterday in the haul we did from the used book superstore. I found Emerson here. I am a little worried about these stickers if they'll ruin the covers, but we'll see. And then this is the portable Swift. And this is in the edition that I said I like. Little pictures there. But these ones are just fine, too. I think these are the old
It's 3 different designs.
And then this is Coleridge. Yeah, and like I said, there's no point in trying to get Vikings in a uniform a set. You're not going to.
I don't know what my 3s are. Well, we can do science fiction. Yeah, I found a bunch.
You can do science fiction.
I can do science fiction, yes. You have no interest in that. I found... Well, the sticker placement here is just obnoxious. But this is a novel from... It was never reprinted. Nothing ever came of it. This was from 1980. I read this when it came out. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's called Star Axe. And the sticker's right over the guy's face. But I've never seen this before. I've never seen it since I read it. I found a classic, Well of the Unicorn by Fletcher Pratt with this great Hildebrandt Brothers cover. I found one of those taller mass market paperbacks of Victor Melan's The Dinosaur Lords, a world in which dinosaurs are the steeds for knights errant. I loved the book. I think I wrote about it, but I only ever had the hardcover or the galley or the trade paperback. I had no idea. Then Classic by Keith Laumer, Retief at Large. A little bit of damage there, and like you said, I don't know what damage the stickers will do as they come off. They can't stay. This is a collection of short stories about Retief, who is a member of the diplomatic corps, but he likes to solve diplomatic problems with his fists. Keith Laumer has fallen out of favor in the science fiction world, and the Retief books especially have fallen out of favor because the bad guys, the Growaki, are somebody somewhere at the beginning of the weird 21st century made some claim that they were colonial stereotypes or something like that. It's really fun stuff. So I was happy to find it. Then one of these best of volumes. This is the best of Jack Williamson. Again, with an obnoxious sticker placement. There is absolutely no reason on earth why that $1 sticker can't be on the back of every single book. There's no reason why that is, but nevertheless. And Richard McEnroe, this is a book called Skinner, set in a hot, dusty hell planet that has indigenous giant lizards whose skins are virtually impenetrable. So if you have the equipment and the guts to go hunting for them and skin them, you can make a good living. And our main character runs into trouble with a land baron who's doing that, but you're not going to care. You don't care about science fiction. But that's a nice blast of science fiction for me.
Okay, I'm going to go to these. This is the political and social ideas of St. Augustine. I don't know anything about this volume, but I've read St. Augustine, and I got introduced to him through his political and economic writings, or the components of his writings, rather. So that's going to be of interest to me. And then this is A History of the Bible, the book and its Faiths by John Barton, and I think you reviewed this, right?
Am I in it? Am I blurbed?
Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, Christian Science Monitor. Did you write it for them?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's you.
Oh, my God.
Happy to have that. I wanted it when it came out, and I never bought it, so I was glad to see it. And I like that paperback. It's a little more interesting than the hardcover. Yeah. And then this is A Most Peculiar Book, The Inherent Strangeness of the Bible. And this I also don't know anything about, but it looked interesting, so I grabbed it.
The Book Barn is largely cheap. Huge numbers of things there are $1. And even the books that aren't $1 are $4 or $5, something like that. So, I mean, it doesn't amount to much if you're getting 100 books. You're still going to be spending money.
Yeah,
I don't know what my next grouping is. Trade paperbacks, maybe a few trade paperbacks. I found, like, for instance, these red spine vintage trade paperbacks. I just think they're neat. I found the stories of John Cheever. Of course, this is an iconic collection in the American paperback, that red squat paperback. But I just thought this was neat, and I am kind of circling around to achieve a read. I found this. This is something that I was actually looking for. The Book Barn is not the Brattle, so I can go in looking for things. And I wanted this Life of Mao, and I found it in this vintage paperback that I've never seen before. This is not what it's not the look that I was expecting, but I was happy to grab it. But you should go on because you have lots more.
I have a lot. Okay, so now we're gonna do. This is only gonna get wonkier as I go, I think. So this is economics. Now, last time we were at the Book Barn, I found a ton of great stuff in economics. That section looked to me like it was trimmed down a little bit. I'm guessing it doesn't have a lot of turnover. Maybe that's why. Or maybe they just didn't have a lot at the time. So this is The End of Economic Man, an introduction to humanistic economics by George Brockway. This I've actually never heard of. I know humanistic economics, but I don't know this volume, and I have a small shelf of books there, so this will be interesting. And I was looking at the table of contents, and it's sort of set up almost like a textbook, so I don't know what he's going for here, just in terms of the order of the subject matter, so we'll see what that's like.
The next one is quintessential David Murphy. Those of you who never watched his old channel, this is the bullet you dodged.
Thanks. This I actually almost plots because I never heard of it. This is called Austrian Economics, and it's edited by Wolfgang Grassel and Barry Smith, and I don't even know who those people are. And I thought I had read everything, or at least knew everything that fell under the title or was even about Austrian economics, and I'm not familiar with this. It looks like it covers from Menger through Hayek. And so we'll see how it is. For those of you who don't know, Austrian economics, it used to be a mainstream school of thought that came about with the Marginalist Revolution, the early 1870s, with Karl Menger's principles. And then it sort of peaked just before John Maynard Keynes. It started working its way across the ocean. And then there was the Keynes-Hayek debates. But then after the Great Depression, it fell out of favor. And then Hayek won the Nobel Prize, and that gave it a little life again. But now it's largely considered a heterodox school of economics, but I didn't know this volume existed, so that was an odd thing to see. I'll read that right away.
Notice how good he is, and he knows that nobody's interested in this stuff. So notice that he prefaced it by saying "those who don't know" instead of "those who might be interested," because that's a bridge too far. There isn't anybody who's actually interested. You got to learn to use the terminology, right?
Yeah, that's fair. And I knew I was going to talk about it, so I had to preface it with something. Oh my gosh. I couldn't just leave it. This is economic history. This is also something I don't know much about. It is a little bit warped, so we'll see what I can do about that. But this is economic history as opposed to history of economic thought. This is Merchants and Revolution, Commercial Change, Political Conflict, and London's Overseas Traders, 1550 to 1653. So this is going to be fascinating, and this is going to go really nicely with 3 books I'll get to later, which I have read, so that'll make more sense shortly. So.
Well, I have a natural trio up next. This is the only reason I indulge in this is because I had a friend along, and I had tote pegs, and I had a car, or I would not have lugged these things. But they were $1 each. I found Douglas Southall Freeman's 3-volume Lee's Lieutenants. This is basically a history of the American Civil War, only told from the viewpoint of the men who were fighting under General Lee. They're big, they're heavy tomes, but
I've never heard of those.
Freeman's fantastic anyway. He's a fantastic prose stylist. So, of course, I'm going to be a little irritated because he doesn't hate the South, and he should. But I'm still gonna love the prose. I've read these. I've had these as trade paperbacks, and I was using the same rule that I am going to use all week. If I'm at a used bookstore, I'm using the Brattle rule. If I see something that for that price I would have grabbed at the Brattle, I will grab it somewhere else as well. So that's what I did with these. These are going to be a fun reread. I haven't read Lee's Lieutenants in so long.
That's a good rule that I'm not following. So.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Oh my!
Yes, I was happy. I guess I don't know. So this is Nigel Hamilton's. The Mantle of Command. I'm doing these out of order. War and Peace, which should not have been the title, as we banned. And then Commander in Chief here. And I haven't read these before on FDR, so and I know that they're out there. I know that I should have gotten to them, and I just never did. So that's a big gap for someone who's as interested in World War II as I am.
They're fantastic.
So I'm happy to have these. Yeah.
Wow. I might have been tempted by those if I'd seen it. But, we had a moment. I noticed it, and it reminded me of all the times that I've had this moment with other people. We're two friends. We're driving up to Connecticut in a car. We're talking and chatting and dreaming about all the books we're going to find. And then when we get there, there's that weird, awkward moment where suddenly, oh, you're a competitor.
Yeah.
Oh. I wouldn't say you're not turning on your friend, but suddenly another element enters the whole picture. Suddenly you're picturing where you can go, where your friend will not go. Yeah. I know that I felt that with Mark Richardson, where we're chatting like crazy until we get there, and then, it's now every man for himself.
And like you said, where the overlap is. I was never going to grab those Lee books, but I knew in the World War II section I had to get there right away.
Yeah. When I took Frida to the World War II section, there was a velvet cordon rope off. And I asked the staff, and they said, "Yeah, this section's in use. You can't use this."
Well, I just went with the FDR. Right?
All right.
Yeah.
I've got only one left in this little tote bag. Oh, okay. Well, does this match with anything? No, probably not. Biographies, maybe. I already did the Mao. Well, I found Lisa Jardine and Alan Stewart. They did a terrific biography of Francis Bacon, and I found it in one of these UK trade paperbacks. So I grabbed it, Hostage to Fortune. I've never seen this particular paperback, but I've had luck with Bacon biographies, and this is the one that I remember liking a lot. So now I have, the trade paperback of it, and I found a hardcover of Doris Lund's book Eric, which is her memoir of her teenage son and his fight with leukemia, which he lost. I usually only find I've never seen a hardcover of this thing. I usually only find very battered mass market paperbacks because the people who read this book love it and they read it to pieces, and I love it too. I have right now a really crappy trade paperback, but this will be perfect. The only thing wrong with this hardcover. Any of you know this book? I don't know how many of you know this book, but the trade paperback is this cover, but it has Eric sitting on the beach, and he's missing from the hardcover, but that's okay. I'll take that. One more here. I found a gigantic trade paperback of John Julius Norris's History of Venice. This came up a lot just recently on my channel because there was just a really good new History of Venice, and everybody was asking me, okay, you're singing the praises of this book. What about this earlier one? This was the one-volume History of Venice that I was recommending to everybody forever. And while I was having that conversation, I think the new one is better. But while I was having that conversation, I was thinking, gee, you ought to have a copy of that book. I have lots of books on Venice, and now I have this one. Good. And there you go. That is one whole tote bag for me.
All right, great. So I'll just do these three. They're not totally related, but roughly. This is William Shirer, Berlin Diary. This is amazing. Everybody knows him for Rise and Fall of the Third Reich right here on the shelf behind us. But these are fantastic angry diaries because he was there.
And you got this. Fantastic.
Yes, there was a paperback and hardback. I didn't see these initially, but Steve said that it was tempting and pointed it out to me, and so I just grabbed it.
I should have got... There was a trade paperback that I should have got. I don't... The further away the used bookstore is, the less you want to hedge your bets. You want to get everything because you're not going to be back anytime soon. But it'll. But you should show the book.
Yeah, this is Matthew Cooper, The German Army, and it's just goes through the German Army during World War II, and it looks like it's chronological as well. Yes, it is. So that'll be great. A military history of the German Army.
You haven't even scratched the surface.
Oh, and I have one more in my hand. This is also related.
Wow.
This is a classic.
Man.
This is The Arms of Krupp. Who armed Germany through 3 wars, I think. This is a classic. I first came across this when I was in middle school. I think it was a paperback, and I haven't had this in years and years, so I grabbed a copy.
Yeah, they built all the steelworks. They helped facilitate all the bombs, the fencing and ovens and streetworks and guns and everything for the worst atrocities committed by a government against the civilian population in the 20th century. Which is why I'm so glad that they were, of course, put out of business. What's that? Okay. I could have sworn that they did. We'll have to check it at the library. Let's get into the Volkswagen. Oh. Okay. All right. Maybe there weren't any people there. Didn't we? Albert Speer? Oh, no, we didn't get him either. Okay, well, that's all right. So I'm sure somebody was made to pay. Somewhere along the line, I'm sure somebody was.
Oh, that reminds me. There was a copy of Judgment in Nuremberg, and I forgot to grab that.
Well, you're going to second guess. With a shop like the Book Barn, you're going to second guess anyway. I would not have got that Arms of Krupp. I don't know if you remember this, but about 25 years ago, there was a trade paperback reprint. Mm-hmm. Didn't look like this. Wasn't the normal thing. It was beautiful. I had it. I don't know why I got rid of it, but that's what I want.
That's the one I had when I was in middle school. Oh.
You spend a couple of hours in the evening letting David pick the music and the videos, and you will forget that he was in middle school just that little time ago. I always do. All right, well, I have a lot of mass market paperbacks. I did indeed find another copy of Through a Glass Darkly. This one is purple instead of green.
I almost grabbed the hardcover.
There was a hardcover?
Yeah, there's a hardcover of that and the sequel.
I found a bunch of classics. I found The American Senator by Anthony Trollope. This Oxford paperback line was done with all new introductions, all new notes. The notes are incredible for these volumes. The ones in the yellow spines, these mass markets. These were done for the centenary, and they're amazing. And I never know, it was $1, so I never remember how many of them I have and which ones I have. So I just grab them all whenever I see them. A couple of Penguin classics. I found Family Parsonage and also Crime and Punishment in the David Margashak translation. You never have too many classics. I shouldn't keep going because you have lots more to do.
Oh, should I go now?
Yeah, let's do you some.
Okay, I'll just grab a few here. So I have this biography of Kipling by Lord Birkenhead. Now this, maybe you can help me. I don't know why it's called the long suppressed biography.
Yeah, it had some details that the family didn't. It was suppressed by the family. It wasn't legal or anything.
Okay.
You wouldn't notice that you're reading something long suppressed or dangerous in any way.
Yeah, and I love Kipling, but I've never read a biography of him, so I grabbed that one. Then this is Gore Vidal, The Second American Revolution, and Other Essays. I have United States, of course, which is somewhere behind us also. But I don't have any other essay collections from him. And I'm sure much of this is in there, but happy to have this. And then here we have Old Wegs by Greg Weiner, Burke, Lincoln, and the Politics of Prudence. And this is blurbed by George Will and Yuval Levin, so that's a double whammy for me. I had to get it then. And of course, I knew when this book came out, I just didn't read it at the time, so I'll finally get around to it. And then this looks fascinating. This is Dilemmas of Appeasement, British Deterrence and Defense, 1934 to 1937. And I'm really curious to see how this is. Because, of course, although everybody focuses on appeasement itself, they were rearming in the 30s. And Chamberlain doesn't get much credit for that, so I don't know how, what kind of detail this is going to go into there. But this will be fascinating.
But won't the Old Whigs book contrast with your lefty leanings? The Whigs aren't right enough. Let's do some more. You've got a lot more to go.
I want to save that because I do have like a find of the trip. So we'll keep going with some World War II here. This is How War Came, The Immediate Origins of the Second World War. So this will actually go really well with that other book I just brought up. And this I haven't read before. Donald Cameron Watt, I am actually not familiar with him at all. So this is going to be fascinating. And I have a small shelf of books on the interwar period, so it's going to go right in there. And then here we have Volker Ulrich. This is the second volume of his biography of Hitler. I've read the first one, and then that's just sitting on my shelf, and I never got the second one. You spend, the first 600-700 pages with Hitler. You're not eager to get to the second volume, but I do need to finally read this, so I will.
Look at that.
And then this is fantastic. I was so happy to get this. This is Enemy at the Gates, The Battle for Stalingrad.
It's a great book.
And this is a fantastic book, and it's replacing my paperback. So
I've never seen that in hardcover.
Really happy to see this. Yeah.
I've got this is all I've only got the just more paperbacks here.
Oh.
I found a paperback of a really good Eco novel, The Prague Cemetery. I've never seen this. I'm assuming this is not American, but I loved it. I loved the book, and I haven't reread it in at all. So more Trollope. I found The Bertrams and also John Caldegate. also in these Oxford sets. No idea if I have these. I grab them anyway, just in case. If they're $1, I grab them anyway. And Olivia Goldsmith's novel, The Bestseller, which is one of the best books about the publishing world, the world of books, that I've ever read. And I'm right in the middle of writing a book like that myself for my writing collective. I'm right in the middle of that. So I've been thinking about this all the time. I never see it. I don't know why. It's so good. It follows the fortunes.
This isn't a novel.
It is a novel. Yeah, it follows the fortunes of a group of people. A struggling artist, a really popular writer, an agent, a couple of other agents, a couple of major doers in the publishing world. They're all mercilessly skewered, except for the couple of good people that just want to get their words out into the world. And it's chatty and catty and funny. It's full of vacuous, superficial people who are willing to skip their children's wedding in order to get a facelift. And I'm not going to joke about this, of course, but Olivia Goldsmith died while having facial surgery, while having plastic surgery. So she practically could have written her own story into one of her novels. But she's written a lot of novels, but this is my favorite by far. I love it. And it also has a fantastic ending. You all know I am a big critic of the fact that novels never have good endings at all. This one has a fantastic ending. It will leave you cracking up when you leave the book.
These will not leave you cracking up when you leave the book.
No, those precious little cracking up.
This is all naval stuff, so
man.
This is great. This is The Naval War Against Hitler by Donald McIntyre. Another great book. I've never owned this. I've read it. I've never owned it, so really happy to find this. And then this is The Atlantic Campaign, World War II's Greatest Struggle. Another great volume. And then here we have The Destruction of Bismarck, the battleship Bismarck. And that's initially, when I was a kid, what pulled my interest into World War II was the sinking of the Bismarck, because some documentary I saw. So I read everything I can on it, and I haven't read that.
Good Lord. So he really did commandeer that section. I was kind of joking. But I found a mass market of The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich in perfect condition. Just looks like it was just made yesterday, so I didn't want to pass it up. I found the old Oxford paperback of The French Revolution by Thomas Carlyle. This is not what you think. It's not what if you're picturing a 1,000-page book about the French Revolution, you're probably picturing something boring. And this is just lightning. It's amazing. I have wanted this edition forever, and I just never saw it. So when I saw it today, the little sun bleaching there. The thing about the book barn is that at the main barn, a lot of the material is virtually outside. A lot of the buildings, the wind was whipping like crazy today, so you definitely felt it. And a lot of the new releases are just wheeled carts with doors open, so the sun is beating down on them all day. And another Penguin I found, Barchester Towers, in this Penguin Classic, just because it was $1. I've only got a few left.
I almost grabbed the hardbacks of the Barchester.
Yeah, they had a lot. They had a lot of.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll keep going. More thrilling things for me. Actually, I'm gonna grab all these.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So these...
You passed that up at the used book superstore.
It was a lot more expensive at the used book superstore and in hardback, so this is totally fine. But we'll get to those in a minute. We have to go through some things to get to it. This is Marxist Economic Theory by Ernst Mandel. These I have also read. I read them in college from the library, and now I have copies for them, so I may revisit these in full, going to read them right through. That's going to be fantastic. And then Karl Marx, Early Writings, Penguin Classic. I have everything of Marx, it was economic stuff anyway, as e-copies, but very little as paperbacks. I have the 3 volumes of Capital and the Penguin Classics, but I think that's it. So I'll revisit some of these, probably not all of it.
Oh.
This next book, I should clarify, I've read this before, this should be a bad book, and I thought it was going to be when I read it, when I first picked it up, but I haven't read this in years and years. This sounds dopey, but it's really, really good.
It's really good.
It's the kind of thing you look at on the shelf, if you're in the store, and you ignore it because there's no way it's going to be good. It's like you would think it's like ignoring Bill O'Reilly in the history section. You would think it's in that price range, and it isn't. But this is The President Will See You Now, a memoir, my stories and lessons from the final Reagan years. Or Ronald Reagan's final years, excuse me. By Peggy, what's her name? grand or grande.
And that's
it's
his
so
final
good.
years alive. Not
Final
his
years
final
alive.
years in office.
Yes,
It's,
yes.
The president here is a courtesy title.
And there's so many anecdotes in there that are just fantastic and heartbreaking at the end. It's really a terrific
I
volume.
will try to leave a link to my review down below.
Oh.
I if I can remember to do it, I will try. I will try to do that.
Yeah. And then this is Luke Cannon. This is his volumes here in the slipcase. So glad to have these. Again, like he said, I saw these at the used book superstore in hardback, but they're $28.
Yeah, they had them up on the display at the front there for a last minute big.
And I thought about it, I almost did, but I left them, and I'm glad I did because I don't mind having the paperbacks. This is totally fine. So, do you have much left?
Just a few.
Okay.
Let's see here. I found a copy of a paperback of Hermione Lee's biography of Edith Wharton, which I was noticing just the other day that I didn't have this. So I was happy to find it. And I will try to remember to leave a link to my review. I'll try to leave a link to anything that I reviewed. Yeah, why don't I just finish up and then you can do the rest.
I'm jealous of that William Shire paperback. I've never seen that. I like that.
I found William Philpott's Bloody Victory, Sacrifice on the Somme. Nice, big, thick book on the Somme from an author that I already know I like. And in deference, I'll finish up, in deference to Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, and because I badmouthed it and got a lot of grief from a lot of you, I found a cheap copy of the White Company books. Arthur Conan Doyle's non-Sherlock Holmes stuff, his these and thous, Knights of Old type stuff that I got a little snippy about it, and I got a lot of pushback. Apparently, a lot of people love it. I had this trade paperback when it first came out. This is the one with the introduction by George MacDonald Fraser of Flashman fame. But this Common Reader edition came out in the 90s, I believe. 1999. And I got it then. And got rid of it. Now I have it again. So there you go. That was my end of this trip.
Okay. So I have 4 or 5 here. And then after these are, for me, what have been the find of, honestly, both days. So this is Bullfinch's Mythology. I'm sure everybody knows this. I was happy to see this edition. I only ever see, I feel like, the Barnes & Noble paperback, and I just didn't want that. So I'm happy to have the hardcover instead. And then this is Bart Ehrman, Peter, Paul, and Mary, an unfortunate title that was maybe just too easy to do. I haven't read this from him. I've read some of his other stuff. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him who are interested in new atheism and that kind of thing. He's usually pretty good, I think, anyway, so I'm happy to have that. This is the only classic I grabbed, I think. This is Hesiod. This is Works and Days and Theogony. Works and Days is actually the very first classic of Greece and Rome that I ever read, and I haven't read it in a really long time, so I thought I would grab it and reread it.
Oh, man.
And then this, probably the most depressing one, I guess. This is Ostkrieg, Hitler's War of Extermination in the East. If you only get one thing, you want Bloodlands, which is somewhere up here. Yeah, I don't see it now, but it is right behind us. But this is another good volume to have.
It's every bit as well researched as Bloodlands, but Bloodlands is so amazing to read.
Yeah,
it's just so amazing to read.
I think when I first got Bloodlands, I read it in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. Yeah. And then this, another one where I was really happy to find, shocked to see it. This is the Russo-German War, 41 to 45 by Seaton. Another classic, I guess you would say. So that's a great volume, also in hardback. Thrilled. And then, sit down, everybody. My find of the trip is this. This is The Structures of Everyday Life, The Wheels of Commerce, and the Perspective of the World by Fernand Braundel, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. And I love these books. I don't necessarily agree with his analysis, but his history is fantastic. These are absolute classics of economic history. I have Volume 1 at home, but it's in kind of rough shape. So to see all 3 hardbacks in fantastic condition downstairs at the book barn, I grabbed them without even thinking, and then I went through them again to make sure there was no writing.
Those were in history? They weren't in econ?
No, they were downstairs. I'm guessing they just didn't know. Oh, I was so happy to see these. I haven't gone through them. When I first read them, I read them right through when I was in college, and I read the first volume again probably 3 months ago, and I think I'm just going to go through them again. These are fantastic volumes if you're interested in economic history. They're definitely must-haves. So I was so happy to see them. Really great stuff.
How can this book haul be shorter than yesterday's? How is that possible?
I think we just got into business. We're not as much
so.
chatting.
Well, there you go.
34 minutes? Oh my gosh.
That was the book barn.
That's not a normal Steve book haul
No,
either.
that's not even my normal book haul. No, that's incredible.
I don't think we're going to have another haul that's this big. There will be more book shopping. But
it'd be great. I would like to go back to the used book superstore, but we might not be able to fit that in. We have a lot of other plans to do. If you could see Frida right now, she was on all day. She is zonked, absolutely exhausted. She can't shrug off 7 hours of constant activity the way she did when she was 1. So she's going to sleep really heavily tonight. But she was the belle of the ball at all of the annexes and the main store. Everybody loved her, even though she growls ferociously when she wants you to pet her. She doesn't walk up to you wagging her tail. It looks like she's going to attack you at the throat. It sounds that way. But all she wants is love. She got plenty of it
she
today.
Was wonderful, yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Well, now we need to get our energy back.
Yes, we need to eat.
I'm going to eat like I just got out of a Turkish prison. So,
a lot of you who are listening would prefer a Turkish prison to a lot of the books. Yeah. You just had the opportunity, the choice between the two. Anyway, it made him happy. That's the important thing about book.
It was when we were driving back. You mentioned this in the car. You forget what you buy when you buy this much when you're there. And then as we were coming back, every now and then something I grabbed and found would come to mind. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I found that. I'm so happy.
When you're driving back, the thing you forget is, what did I put back?
Yeah.
As opposed to what did I actually throw in the bag? What did I put back? And I was extra distracted because the whole time I was filling a bag, I had Frida with me.
Yeah.
Need to calm her down, need to talk to her, need to see what she's doing. I mean, to make sure she's not eating cobwebs or anything like that.
So we have to remove stickers too. We left them on because we didn't know what each other got. We wanted to react.
Also probably want to take a damp cloth to a lot of these things because a lot of these books are in stalls basically outside, so they get dirt on them. Easily cleaned, but still. Yeah, we have to peel off the stickers, clean up the books, but first, eat like crazy.
Eat like crazy.
Because we've gone all day. So anyway, that's the book haul.
All right,
We'll be back
2.
next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Book 2.